Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 70. I am your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
Not flubbing it this week. You nailed it, my friend.
Yes.
By episode 100, you're going to be fluent in introducing yourself.
Probably not.
Yeah, you'll still have flubs. Jay, what the fuck were you up to this week, man?
Not too much, man. I just was like in that work grind where I just really wanted to chill, work, go to the gym, try and get back into that. Been seeing you at the gym actually lately, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and realizing that I work a whole lot harder than you, but you look a whole lot better than I do. It's disheartening.
This is true. Actually, Dave actually probably does stay a little bit longer than I do right now because I'm kind of like easing my way back into the gym, and I'm like not trying to push it too hard, so I can't walk the next day. So
yeah, I do 20 minutes of cardio. A lot of people think that you should do cardio after you work out.
No, most people say before, and I like after though. I like to do it after. I do
it before. I like getting just the sweat working, so that way when I'm lifting weights
jump
and
rope.
stuff,
That's my thing. I like to do a little like 5-minute jump rope to get me going, and then I work out.
You're not 25 pounds overweight, you fuck. So I like to do 20 minutes of cardio. I like to do a mix. I'll do 10 minutes of running, but I run hard when I do my 10 minutes of running.
Yeah.
I'll do about a mile or so, a little over, and then I'll go hit the elliptical for another 10 minutes or the recumbent bike for 10 minutes. Not recumbent, just regular spinning bike for about 10 minutes, and then I'll go lift weights for a while, and I'll do rotating my chest, my arms, my back, and I usually don't do legs because most of the time when I do the bike, that gets my legs, that gets my quads really, really well. Running gets my calves really well. I don't need to lift weights. I don't need jacked legs. I mean, my legs are the size of tree trunks as they are.
Yeah. And I love finishing off with that that seated bike. How great is that? You can just sit there and just like watch TV or be on your phone, listen to podcasts us, and just.
I finish off with the heavy bag. I just go beat the shit out of the heavy bag for about 10-15 minutes.
I did it a couple times. It's actually really therapeutic.
I told you, and and it's great cardio too.
I know,
and it works out your muscles, especially on a day when you just did chest and back, and you did shoulders, and you go hit the heavy bag, dude. You really feel it the next day. It really gets those muscle groups a lot.
I'll tell you. I don't do it enough. I should do it more often because it's there in the gym.
So that's been Dave and Jay for Workout Corner.
Yeah, that is Workout Corner for us this week. No, but like other than that, like I actually had this interesting older woman experience again. Lately, I feel like I've been meeting older women lately, and
Jay, I don't know if you looked in the mirror lately, but you're getting awfully gray these days. You are turning into a silver fox.
I think I need to start acknowledging that. Embracing my.
You either need to get just for men and go for the younger crowd.
I think you're right.
Or you just stay the silver fox that you are and go for the older women. Now, when you say older, do you mean that they are not 22 and that they're maybe in their 30s?
I honestly.
Do they mean they're actually your age? Is that what you mean by older?
It's scary. Most women my age, I feel like, look a lot older than me. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But
no, Jay, you look your age. Filter. I don't want to burst your bubble.
No,
you look your age.
I think it's weird. I have more gray hairs than anybody my age. I know that for a fact.
Don't get me wrong. Your age
33 years old. I have quite a bit of gray hair.
You do. But your dad also went gray pretty early from what I've talked to him.
He was bald by my age, for one thing. At 24, 25 years old, he and his brother were bald.
So you're already ahead of the curve. So
I'm ahead of the curve. So
you're ahead of the curve. Quit bitching.
But no, but this woman I met through work, she could be around upper 40s, maybe 50 years old. Going through a divorce.
All right.
Has 2 adolescent kids.
All right. Just your speed, man. You don't want to raise a kid. They've already been raised. Like you can't take any blame for fucking them up.
Like she's cool, but she's so aggressive. Like, she is horny as shit.
But Jay, you're
and
not,
hasn't been fucked. It seems like she hasn't been fucked in
Why do you think she's getting divorced, Jay?
I know.
And you're not aggressive. That's perfect. It's just what you need. But
know.
you said that it ties.
I'm a little intimidated.
You
She's
said that
like
it ties
saying some
into
dirty stuff, man.
You said that it ties into work though, and that is a problem.
Well,
in itself.
there is a relation, and it makes it a little bit awkward. And it's not like at work or anything like that. It doesn't affect work whatsoever. But it's still,
in the industry that you're in going to school for what I did, that is a dual relationship, and technically is against the code of ethics.
Maybe that's what I'm feeling.
Just if it feels awkward, Jay, it's because it's probably wrong. Just gonna say it.
But I think more than anything, it's just one of those things where I don't know if I'm really I care that much.
We're being cryptic, A, to protect the identity of the individual Jay's talking about, even though they probably would never listen to this, and
me.
And B, yeah, because we don't want to get Jay in trouble. We're being very cryptic. It's just someone he knows through work, and that's about it.
But no, it was just one of those things where, like, I don't know if I'm, like, ready to dive into some kind of issue like that, and especially...
We talked about this. You're pining for what you've lost. Yeah, I feel that from you. I know that about you.
Yes, and I am, and it's been a rough 6 months or so, but yeah, I mean, our long-time listeners would definitely obviously know who I'm referring to and what we're referring to, but it's true anyway. But other than that, honestly, just watching some good TV, some good movies. I finished up on The Deuce in HBO. The Deuce, it's a solid show, man. I do enjoy the show. It's not as bad as I think what people expect it to be, from the previous trailers. I watched, given it a shot.
I watched one episode. It was...
It's a hustle show. It's really just like an 80s New York hustle show.
But no, I mean, the vibe reminded me a lot of Vinyl, and honestly,
it's not that bad, though. It's not as bad as Vinyl. Not as bad. I'm not making it seem like it's bad at all, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot better than Vinyl. But it's
not for me.
It's not for everybody, and I don't think it's for Dave. But I'm enjoying it. I'm finding it interesting, and you can definitely see how it's going to set up for season 2.
Cool.
And
never gonna watch it.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. My God, my boy Larry David is still kicking it. He's doing a great job this season. I love it.
Just talked about
still
foisting.
A lot of fun. We just talked about foisting.
Foisting. We talked about foisting today.
Love that fucking word.
I foisted him. I foisted it on him.
So good. So good. So good. Oh God, I love that, man.
And that's it. You've been pretty much
I've been just low key,
just a boring bitch lately.
Boring, man. Just boring. This has been a boring week.
That's fine.
Sometimes I'm just trying to ease into the holidays, ease into wintertime.
I get it, and ease into that 50-year-old woman.
She's got a couple kids. It could be pretty easy.
You're messed
But it's been a couple of years since she's probably getting laid, so
it's a toss up. So for me, what I did this weekend was I had my daughter, and it was great. She was just coming off having a cold, but she was more or less herself. Me and Lauren were discussing what to do for dinner on Friday night, and I was like, you know what? We were talking about ordering this, ordering that, and I was like, let's go to the hibachi. I bet you Logan would really fucking love seeing the dudes do their shit. And
tell me all about it.
She had a lot of fun until he lit the onion volcano. And
really?
He went hard on the oil that sets that fire, and like almost the whole griddle went up. And Logan thought it was like fun when it was just the onion steaming.
Right.
But when the whole griddle accidentally went up and she felt the heat, she was like, "Oh God, no!"
Oh, okay.
She was sitting on my lap like she's like, "No, I don't like it." So but he did dial it back a little bit, and we were the only ones sitting at the table. There was no one else there, so he just kind of like tailored the fun to Logan.
Sure.
And we had a lot of fun. We got her a what?
I love those guys, man. They're impressive,
dude,
right?
He was so good. Now this place I really love because he is a Japanese man. His name's Sonny. But the guy who was behind us was the guy we had before. His name is Marco, and he is Guatemalan. And he does the
Was he good too?
He was good though. Yeah, he's good. He just has a different accent. Not the accent you'd expect at a hibachi, but no, Sonny was great. And he made our food. He left. The waiter brought out Logan's I keep calling it a baby bento box, but it's a kid's bento box.
Sure.
Comes with a little hamburger slider, chicken fingers, and then like white rice, and then candy sushi, which is basically just a tiny piece of Rice Krispie with fruit roll up around it and a gummy on top of it.
No way.
So Logan's sitting there and she's eating her baby bento box, and she's like munching on her slider, and she's like smiling, and she's like, "Daddy, I don't want to eat anymore." And I was like, just take one more bite and then you're good. So she puts the one more bite in her mouth, and like she just looks at me, and her cheeks start puffing out. And I'm like, no. She vomits. And my first reaction, and I don't understand why this is my first reaction, was to put my bare hand under her mouth and catch all of her vomit in my hands.
Probably because you're in a restaurant and you're afraid of her making a mess everywhere. Basic fatherly instinct.
I was just like holding this puke in my hand. And like the waiter comes up and he goes, "Oh God, let me get you a towel." And I'm still cupping it in my hand when he comes back with the towel, and he's like, "Just drop it, like just let it go."
The waiters even say, "Just fucking drop
Let it go.
Let it go."
Lauren was smart enough to grab a towel, wrap that around her hand, and let Logan puke into that, and then we just threw away the towel. But I'll never understand why it's my first reaction. And you'll do it when your kid's young and you're changing a diaper and your kid goes to piss or shit or something. For some reason, you just go to catch it in your hand. I don't understand it. Like, what is the reaction of a parent to be like, "Oh, let me catch"?
But why did she vomit?
No clue. No clue. I mean, I guess because she was getting over a cold. I assume that mucus in the back of her throat or something. Whatever, any reason. But she just threw up right there in the restaurant. We didn't even finish eating. We just had it all packed up, and then we were like, "I'm just going to take the check. I'm going to go." And they're like, "Oh, you get free ice cream at the end. Would you like your green tea ice cream?" And I was like, "Nope. I'm just want to leave, please. I just want to go. Just leave. Just let me leave, for the love of God."
Did she like everything? Did she like the food? Did she try everything?
Yeah, she liked the food, man. She liked the food. She enjoyed the show and stuff like that. But I just taking kids out for dinner, man.
It's tough. I used to give my parents hell.
As far as what else I did this weekend, I watched some things. I watched a documentary on Bigfoot called "The Unwoten Sasquatch." The Unwoten.
Did it look
Sasquatch.
like me?
No. It's just a bunch of scientific people talking about the possibility of there being a Sasquatch.
Ah.
And honestly, the deeper you get into people who believe in Sasquatch, they're just the weirdest people. It's just,
of course they are.
I watched it for that. Now, I'm someone who believes in the possibility of things. I'm not saying Sasquatch is real, but I believe in the possibility of things. Right. I'm open to evidence if you have it. However, there's one guy who's talking about the reason Bigfoot, we have not found evidence of him, is because he exists in 3 different dimensions.
Oh boy. Here we go.
And occasionally we see him in our dimension, but he also is able to travel to 2 neighboring dimensions. This is from 1992.
Oh Jesus.
Anyway, at least that interview with that guy was. So it was pretty funny, but also interesting at the same time. I watched some weird documentaries, man.
God, love it.
I read the entire unredacted documents of like 5-10 years ago when the government was like, "Yes, Area 51's real, and here's all the documents from it." I read all of them.
Oh my God, you read all the documents?
I am I have a mild interest in conspiracy theories. Yes,
more than mild, I think. No, I like listening to people talk about it. I don't like do any kind of research myself. I don't really dive headstrong into those kind of things.
The Unwoten Squatch, man, the Unwoten Sasquatch brings up some pretty decent points in it about the existence of Sasquatch and people who find tracks and stuff like that. Like the one expert, he's a podiatrist.
Oh, okay.
So he's looking at these footprints and going, I can tell the difference because I know I know feet. Like, I know
Yeah.
feet. I know ape feet. I know human feet. And he's like, I know the difference. He's like, I also am able to tell you whether this was someone wearing boards on their feet or whether
Right.
this is actually makes the same motion as a foot does when it walks.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting because
That makes sense.
here you have a foot that's the size of Shaq's. And unless Shaq was walking around in those woods, or someone of his size,
Sure.
then you can't explain a 23-inch footprint. You just can't explain it.
I mean,
In any other way.
That's a very good point.
So I thought that was interesting because that's someone who actually has scientific
Right.
background and can back up the evidence they're talking about. Now, he didn't talk about hearing Sasquatch. He didn't talk about seeing Sasquatch. He didn't talk about Sasquatch, vocalizations
about
or matings
facts.
habit.
Right.
He just talked about the facts of the feet. So that
Right.
was interesting to me
Yeah.
because
No, I get that. I get
like
that.
Dragnet,
Yeah.
just the facts, man.
Yeah.
So I thought some of it was interesting. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. If you are the type of conspiracy theorist type, or you believe in Sasquatch, you just want to check something out in that vein, check out the Unwoten Sasquatch.
Yeah. I work with somebody who's he's kind of like an older guy, like a former
I know him.
deadhead.
I know him.
Former conspiracy theorist.
Greg, right?
Greg, yes, you're right. You know Greg.
I worked with Craig.
I love pushing buttons and
Former deadhead. He's current deadhead.
Yeah,
He never
yeah.
stopped.
No, he is.
This
he is.
dude wears a tie-dye shirt
I
and
went to a
sweatpants.
Dead and Company show with he and Rachel. Yeah, it was a pretty funny time.
He wears sweatpants and a tie-dye shirt to work every day.
Cut off tie-dye shirt even.
Cut off tie-dye shirt. Yeah.
And he has more body hair
Hey, man.
than any other guy I've ever met.
He starts every conversation with, hey, man.
That's true. I
Hey,
know.
man.
He's a good old boy, man. I love that guy. He's my boy Greg. Love
So
him.
the other thing I watched is another guilty pleasure of mine. It is a movie that was about a dog. It was called Megan Levy. It is about a young woman who joins the Marine Corps after
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
After having a rough go at life at a young age, she joins the Marine Corps. She wants to become a canine trainer. She wants to work with a bomb-sniffing dog over in Iraq. Her and her dog Rex get deployed. Some shit happens. And after some shit happens, I cried for about 35 minutes until the film ended.
Wow.
It doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter how good or bad the dog movie is. It's going to make me cry. I am such a baby when it comes to dogs, man. It just hits me.
There's nothing wrong with
It just makes me cry. Was the movie good? Yeah, it was all right. It's worth the watch.
I heard it was all right. Yeah.
Was it great? No. I mean, but if you like dogs and you just want to get a good cry on a Sunday morning like I did, go ahead and watch it.
There's nothing better for a good Sunday morning cry, you know?
Yeah, my kid was napping. I just wanted to have a good cry while I drank my Irish coffee.
That sounds delightful, actually. It's a nice Sunday morning.
It was therapeutic for sure.
Yeah.
So coming up next, me and Jay are going to get into this week's news. It's kind of a brief news segment, but some very important things that dropped. So stay tuned. Welcome back for This Week in News. Jay, the first news story I have is the film that we reviewed this week, Thor Ragnarok, fourth biggest opening in 2017. Kind of surprising considering the other two Thor films were pretty lackluster.
Yeah.
However, I kind of feel like even though we got Guardians of the Galaxy this year and Spider-Man Homecoming, it kind of felt like less of a Marvel year. Maybe because there was no Avengers film or anything like that, but it felt less Marvel than normal.
No, it did. It did.
Or at least we haven't had a Marvel film in a long time. I think
more than anything, the marketing was just fun. You could just tell that this movie just looked like it had a lot of fun things going on with it on top of Hulk. You know, the Hulk looked like he was going to be great in this movie.
And I want to go through some minor news stories before we get to our bigger ones that you and I were talking about earlier today. Harrison Ford is the reason that Mark Hamill came back for The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and this trilogy. Mark Hamill actually originally said no to returning to the role of Luke Skywalker, and then he made a caveat: if Harry comes back, I'll come back. and he never expected Harrison Ford to say yes. And here, dump trucks full of money spoke volumes. And Harrison Ford's like, oh, I mean, if you're going to pay me that much, I mean, I might as well.
I mean, I did see a plane earlier in the week I really liked, so maybe I can get that.
I just want to get a G6. Big dick, baby.
I just want to crash it in LAX.
Ant-Man and the Wasp have cast Lawrence Fishburne as Bill Foster, who in the comic books is Giant Man. But that's not the news. The news is that currently Fishburne is working on a secret Marvel project that they are not willing to announce.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of that. And
I
first
thought
of
that
all, I was
was
like, Lawrence Fishburne. I'm like, I don't know what to make
So
of
in the
this.
comics, you had Ant-Man, and then later on you had Giant Man, a guy who takes the Pym particles and becomes giant with them. He becomes kind of a different superhero because he never shrinks. He only ever really grows. Obviously, by casting Lawrence Fishburne, they're kind of saying that Giant Man existed around the same time that Michael Douglas's Hank Pym existed, kind of like 80s, early 90s era as sort of like a SHIELD hero. However, I don't know what they're really getting at this secret, project. The only thing I could think of is there is some other characters that grow and shrink. There is the daughter of Scott Lang, who it will eventually go on to become a young Avenger, and she becomes Giant Girl. So what this secret project is, I don't know. We don't know a whole lot about it. They're being very secretive. It just kind of sounds like it's Lawrence Fishburne and Marvel teasing something to keep people interested. Down the line, obviously, contracts are going to be ending soon after Infinity War. They want to start some buzz and aping things up for what's to come after we lose a lot of our main characters. So I think that's just kind of what they're doing. They're kind of sparking interest.
It's a little early, but yeah, okay. I'll buy it.
Star Wars and Lucasfilm are exploring doing films after Episode 9, starring Rey and Finn, which I think is odd to announce that to us now, given The Last Jedi is not even out yet. You're basically announcing that Rey and Finn are going to make it through this entire trilogy, which kind of bothers me a little bit to be announcing that to us.
I understand your viewpoint. It's one of those things where I think everybody expects them to survive, but regardless to the fact, it loses your excitement and tension and dramatic effect within the movie. Because if you are a hyper-aware individual and you're watching this movie and you see the stars in a dire situation, you know that they're going to survive.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what the fuck, right? I'm one of those people that can kind of shut my brain off and just kind of go with the flow, but it's one of those things where it still sucks and it's too early. I mean, now, wait until the hype is going crazy. Everybody enjoys the movie.
Why not wait until episode?
And then you drop those teasers.
Why not wait until after Episode 9 to talk about this shit?
Exactly.
Why talk about it now? Why? Now, obviously,
after everybody's all like riding the high of Star Wars and you're enjoying the movie, then you can tease the future projects, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is the type of stuff that we're going to get into more on the Podfix Presents show that me, Duty from Shaken Not Nerd, and Dan from Netflix and Swill will be getting into a certain point of view, which is going to be a Star Wars debate show where we're actually going to debate certain points of Star Wars, whether it's production, whether it's
strictly Star Wars,
strictly Star Wars, all Star Wars.
Have fun, buddy.
It's fucking right up my alley, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't think they should have announced anything like this. I was actually in my mindset after watching the Last Jedi trailer, I was expecting this to be the darkest trilogy we've ever had. I expected this trilogy to kind of end on a down note. I expected that because I see this trilogy and whatever trilogy they do after this as kind of like 2-part trilogies. You know what I mean? Like, I expected the next trilogy to kind of pick up where this trilogy leaves off. Maybe not so much as story-wise, but at least character-wise, we're going to pick up with our characters where they leave off in this one. It just kind of seems like that's where they're going. They cast a bunch of young people so that they can continue doing movies with them, etc. Did I expect Rey and Finn to survive? Yeah, but I don't want to know that for sure.
Sure.
I want to still feel, that urgency for them. Real quick, Tyrese Gibson threatened to quit Furious franchise if Dwayne Johnson is in Fast 9.
Well, this is old news.
This is old news because I actually have an addendum to this. I was actually going to bring this up last week, but we ended up cutting it for time. But The Rock's people reached out to Tyrese, talked to him. The Rock's people, the People's Champs people, reached out to Tyrese. Tyrese is going to do the film and everything like that. The hatchet is buried, supposedly.
Well, of course, but also I got more news about that. Apparently, this guy is just in financial restraint. Like he has he's
going through a custody battle. He was just recently.
It's very nasty. Apparently, the Smiths, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith,
loaned him $5 million.
$5 million,
right? Well, good friends.
I know.
It's good friends to have.
I know. But yeah, he is such a schmuck on social media where he just talks about everything. He says everything.
He was accused.
They're one of their things that they requested was him to stop fucking talking on Twitter. Because he's just making a fool of himself.
He was accused of abusing his ex-wife and abusing his daughter. He was accused of smacking her on the ass so hard that she couldn't sit down for 2 days. The court found no evidence of that. And eyewitnesses of the incident said that it was not in that way whatsoever. Right. The ex-wife has now admitted that perhaps she embellished what had happened and everything like that, but he is going through a very expensive legal battle over the custody of his child and also for the amount he pays in child support and alimony. So yes, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith did loan him $5 million for him to do it, but when someone does you a favor like that, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He's been bringing that shit up.
$5 million is $5 million.
What I think is he's in a tight spot emotionally and financially.
Yeah.
And he's letting a lot of his emotions do the talking, and he's letting that stuff negotiate. Because let's be honest, Tyrese Gibson.
You know Tyrese. I mean, we've seen him over the years. I doesn't have that many hits.
Never met the dude. But
he used to do music and some movies and some TV stuff, but nothing that big.
What I know is, if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just walked up to him and cock-smacked him with his dick, he would still do Fast 9 because he needs a paycheck.
Exactly.
That's what I know.
That's what I actually felt bad for him. Like he was like pleading on Twitter, like, "Don't do this." Like, yeah, you're leaving the family. It was like getting really creepy and weird. Like come on, man. Like the movie franchise is going to be still successful. Like, what are you sort of worried about? Like, I don't understand.
He didn't want to take a year off because that's a year longer that he goes without the paycheck. That's what it was.
All right. That makes sense now.
That's what the problem was.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Why did we just talk 5 minutes on Tyrese Gibson?
I have no idea.
We got bigger shit to discuss.
Because honestly, he could not return in that franchise and nobody would give a shit.
No one would care.
I wouldn't care. Not one bit.
If they were like, "Oh, Roman decided to stay in Miami and open up his own shop," and he's
that
successful.
would make more sense, right?
Good.
That would actually make more sense for his character, right?
I'd be like, "Oh, that's great. All right, good for him."
Come on.
Jay, are you hungry for more Stephen King after seeing It?
I mean, it depends.
What if they remade Stephen King's Pet Sematary and
what the hell is that?
The directing duo behind Starry Eyes.
Again, what the hell is that?
It was a popular horror film from last year or the year before. What if they were coming back? What if they were coming to direct it?
I don't know. What's your viewpoint?
Honestly, I really enjoy Stephen King. I really enjoy seeing some adaptations of it. I didn't see Starry Eyes, so I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I just think it's interesting that Pet Sematary, which is kind of like it's a fun movie, but it's not that great of an adaptation. I would like to see a second shot at it. I really would, and I would like it to be good. So, it's a very creepy movie though, Pet Sematary. So I would like to see it though, but it doesn't. It does have kids in it. However, kids are not the stars of it. It is the adults that are the stars of it.
Okay, I can see that.
All right, Jay, why don't you go ahead and let's talk about the big news. Go ahead.
Well, Shazam. We just talked about Zachary Levi was cast as Shazam.
And Mark Strong is up for a role as the villain.
Exactly. Classic Mark Strong thing to do.
But previously, it was reported that some other people were up for roles as that villain, as in Ben Mendelsohn before that. So take this news with Mark Strong as a grain of salt, because Ben Mendelsohn was up for a role as a villain before, which was a news story I cut last week.
It's true. And then, so they found their Billy Batson.
That's right. So I'm going to mansplain Shazam to Jay very quickly.
Yes, please do.
So Shazam is a little boy who comes across a wizard with the power of Shazam. The wizard grants 10-year-old Billy Batson the power of Shazam. So anytime Billy Batson says the word Shazam, he will turn into a superpowered being, much like Superman. However, some could argue that he is stronger than Superman, being as his powers are based on magic, and Superman is susceptible to magic.
So essentially, this guy is the real lead actor of the film.
Technically, the alter ego personality of Shazam is a 10-year-old boy.
All right. Well, Asher Angel, how about that name? It's going to be the new star to play Zachary Levi's counterpart, Billy Batson. Yeah. So this will be. I mean, I don't know about this guy too much. You know, he's got a hell of a catchy name. So good for him. You know,
good for him. That was
good for him.
Brilliant news, Jay.
That's all I got.
You're so good.
I mean, I'm sure some of you people who know Shazam.
What do you mean that's all you got?
Interested.
How about the fact that 21st Century Fox has been in talks all day, today, with Disney?
Well, I thought you were going to bring that up.
I wanted you to drop the big news.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely.
I wanted you to unroll the big dick and just slap it on the table.
This is a big ass fucking Richard Murdoch limp dick style slap on the counter.
That's right.
20th Century Fox is
something fanboys have been chomping at the bits over.
Right.
It's been talked about for the past 2 years that Kevin Feige has been seen in Fox Studios in talks to do something between Disney, Marvel, and Fox and the X-Men in the same way they did with Sony. There was a lot of rumors last year. We reported on it that there was possibly coming to talks to do a crossover. Then all this new X-Men stuff started coming out, and Fox said, no fucking way. Not a chance.
Right.
We're not doing anything. Now, this news comes out. I read this on CBS News, I read this on CNBC News, but I've also seen it reported at other places that the talks are ongoing. But 20th Century Fox has been holding talks to sell most of the company to Walt Disney Company. Disney would not purchase all of Fox, and it would not purchase all of Fox's properties. So it is unknown what sources and what properties are on the table right now.
So they even so essentially, I don't know exactly the difference between 20th Century Fox and Fox.
It's still Fox. It's all Fox. It's all 20th Century Fox.
They're essentially just going to be taking the movie stuff. That's it.
You got it.
100%. They singled out they're not going to do anything with sports. They're not going to do anything with any other news items.
Right, because Disney already has that stuff. They already have ESPN, which is Disney. They already have ABC Sports.
Right.
That's all
plenty enough.
That's
right?
enough.
And so obviously fanboys are just going crazy about the whole possibility of X-Men crossing over. And the first thing that came in my mind was, they spent a fortune producing the Avatar fucking movies that are like not going to come out for another decade probably.
But Disney already has a relationship with the Avatar movies. They already have the Avatar park in the Avatar land in Disney parks. It is inside of Animal Kingdom.
Is it?
There is Pandora. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's already open at Animal Kingdom in Orlando.
Interesting.
Which is a Disney park. So there's already a relationship there. But also,
James Cameron.
One of the things that I got really geeky about was, and there's no guarantee Fox may say, no, fuck you, we hold on to the X-Men. You can have a whole bunch of other shit, which is, get ready for this, Alien under Disney. Ridley Scott under Disney. Now we're all right. You think deeper than just the comic books now. Think about the other things that they have.
Let me
Planet of the Apes.
Let me rant a little bit. I am all on board for Disney to own Hollywood because that's essentially what they're trying to fucking do. Only if they can accept the fact that they need to have branches to make darker, a little bit more different kind of genre movies.
100%.
Not have there's straight up Disney banner.
There is
definitely a Disney cutter.
There's definitely a Disney
brand.
wash over Hollywood right now, where
massive
it's
wash
dominated by Marvel and Star Wars, and both of them feel very similar.
They're slowly buying every little bit of Hollywood. Slowly. I'm telling you right now, it's fucking scary. No, I mean seriously, like Disney is literally like they're slowly owning Hollywood.
They'll never take Warner Brothers. I mean, that doesn't.
Well, they'll be one of the last ones to leave, but still, they're hurting.
Disney's got its hands in so much stuff. There's also a news story that came out recently that Disney has blacklisted certain media from getting early screenings of their films. The LA Times, namely, as one of them. So they're
and then once their streaming devices start working, right? That's gonna be a whole other cash flow coming in as well.
So
and power.
Time will tell what this comes out of. But one of the things that really excited me was that Hugh Jackman always said he would love to play Wolverine with the Avengers, and
he did. I know. I would love to see him.
If the X-Men go over to Disney,
he would come back.
I would love to see him come back and be like, I'll come back. I'll be Old Man Logan one more time. Just one more time. And I will fight Captain America on screen just to make Dave happy. He'll say it on YouTube, and he'll look right at me, and he'll be like, I'm doing this for you, Dave. And I'll be like, yeah, super movie brother Dave getting what he wanted in life.
Oh.
It's not the wife and the kid that he wanted. It's Wolverine and fighting Captain America on screen. That's what Dave wanted. But anyway, it's interesting news. Obviously, we'll just continue to watch it. It's, like we said, not all of Fox's properties are on the table. So it's very possible that Fox may say, look, take this, take that. We're keeping the X-Men. We have a lot of plans for X-Men. They have a lot of plans in motion for X-Men. But however, X-Men currently right now is still a failing property of theirs. Alien is a failing property of theirs too.
If they were smart, you know what they should do? Give it to them and just say, I want this percentage off of your residuals. And
that's 100% in the deals, Jay. That's 100% going to be in the deals.
So they don't have to have any kind of stress, but just sit back and have their property make money and just collect the fucking checks.
And Disney continues to make their money by having those characters appear in their films and people getting geeked out over it and going to see them.
But they should be doing that with the X-Men franchise. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we'll see. Time's going to tell, Jay. They said early talks, and it's just sources that are coming forward to. So there's no details on this current deal that's going on.
This is like big time top level corporate talks, which will take probably 4 years.
No, I mean, I honestly think if Fox wants to sell and Disney wants to buy, that's the whole reason these talks are happening. And I 100% believe that Kevin Feige's probably one of the reasons that these talks came about.
Oh yeah,
that news that we reported on last year that Kevin Feige was going in and out of Fox offices, I'm sure was 100%
god right
true.
Now in Hollywood. Yeah, no doubt.
So that's going to do it for our news this week. If you think that any of the news that we brought up was interesting, you want to discuss any of these news items more with us, reach out to us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. Coming up next, Jay is going to pour himself a bourbon neat. He is going to snap his suspenders against his nipples, making them hard enough so that you can see him through his shirt. He's going to brush off the cream from his mustache, make it a nice place for your lady to sit, and we're going to go deep inside of Jay's Indie Corner. Welcome back to Jay's Indie Corner. Jay's got a little indie ditty that he wants to talk to you all about. Jay, what do you got for everyone tonight?
What We Do in the Shadows.
Obviously, you selected this because it's a Taika Waititi film. And
I did.
Just reviewed Thor Ragnarok, which should be available before you hear this episode. So if you haven't already checked out our Thor Ragnarok review, be sure to check that out.
Yes, currently streaming on Amazon Prime.
You mean the movie or our podcast?
The movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're not quite there yet.
I don't think we'll ever be there, Jay.
I'm optimistic.
All right, Jay.
Our T-shirt sales are going through the roof on Redbubble.
We've had a couple. Yeah. A few T-shirt sales. Something tells me they are other pod fixers from our network that are buying them, but that's okay.
Doesn't matter.
They're
fantastic shirts.
Hey, if pod fixers come visit me, you get them for free, guys. You get them for free. All you got to do is stay at Casa de Dave and let me take you out to some awesome Philly spots, and you get a free T-shirt for doing it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, What We Do in the Shadows, Jay, my fake synopsis. It is the story of adultery, and it is portrayed by two adulterers separately. Christoph Waltz is a man who's cheating on his wife, and Julia Roberts is a woman who's cheating on her husband. However, they're not doing it together, but they are two people that have some sort of relationship, whether they work together or whether they just have they have interactions with each other, and they both realize that the stresses that come with leading the dual life of being someone who cheats on your family, they need someone to vent to. So they meet together in a coffee shop and they have conversations about the adultery, about the one-night stands that they have while they're cheating on their significant others.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the awkwardness of everything that goes into it.
Because you have to always have that like non-judgmental person to like just listen to like what you're going through, right?
Exactly. And I was thinking that would be the draw to this film, is that they both, but it's really like a story of two terrible people, but they're always justifying to each other like why they do what they do. And I don't know why I picked Christoph Waltz and Julia Roberts.
I'm not sure either.
Maybe because of Closer for Julia Roberts, but maybe because Christoph Waltz, I just picture him as just funny enough that you can laugh at his stories,
right? But
just serious enough that you can get the gravity of the emotion behind him as well.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of the story that I'm thinking of for What We Do, or at least Super Movie Brother Dave's version of What We Do in the Shadows. Just kind of like a quirky indie film with two megastars that are just having fun talking about their awkward sexual experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like that premise, actually. It's one of those things where
it's right up your alley. It's all about sex. You love it.
It's right up my alley. And I think it's one of those things where like I love like good heavy dialogue, Quentin Tarantino style, almost like in a diner. Just getting into the nitty-gritty of like the random mundane things that would happen in your life / boring family life that's having problems with your relations with your
Jay,
spouse.
there is not,
and then the hot and heavy sexy stuff,
right,
with the one night stands.
However, Jay, there is not 1 ounce of pedophilia in it, so it might not go. It might not be your style. All right, Jay, what is What We Do in the Shadows really about, and why should people watch it?
Okay, this 2014 horror comedy is written and directed by Jermaine Clement, and Taika Waititi is. So Jermaine is actually from Flight of the Conchords.
He is, and he's
fame and
he's
HBO.
a gem. He lends his voice to a lot of animated films. And I mean, last year, or maybe it was 2015, he was in Moana, and he plays Timoteo the crab.
Very cool.
And he has a great song in it too.
Does he?
Yeah. Maybe I should make you watch Moana for movie homework.
Probably. All I hear is about is fucking Moana.
Timoteo hasn't always been this glam.
Right.
He was a drab little crab once. Anyway.
Don't turn me on to animation movies, Dave.
I'm going to.
Oh, Jesus. So these two, they actually also star in the film with a few other people. And it's kind of like a documentary style group that's like showing the lives of a group of misfit vampires living in New Zealand. So, it's surprisingly like kind of practical and like really realistic as far as like the violence of the nature, like the blood and guts and stuff. But it's really extremely funny, as some of you guys may know now from watching Thor Ragnarok. He has a great sense of humor that just is a through line right throughout the whole movie.
It's very evocative of early Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Early Peter Jackson stuff was funny in itself.
It's a tight movie. It's only like an hour and 25 minutes long.
Dead Alive, or Brain Dead, as it was when it was over there. And then also The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox. It's another early Peter Jackson film. So I see a lot of that in Taika Waititi's films.
Absolutely. It plays on the whole old tales of the vampires, zombies, werewolves mythology, many of whom reside in this kind of like weird little area of New Zealand. I guess probably because it's so remote from the rest of the world. Not many people go there.
More sheep in New Zealand than people.
Right. Exactly. And it's one of those countries that I always say, like, I would rather go there. Sorry, guys. I know our listeners are in New Zealand or in Australia. I'd rather go to New Zealand.
Yeah, our Podfix mates are in Australia.
I know.
You'd rather go to the rolling hills.
I would rather go to
What
Lord
Jay,
of the Rings land. And
what Jay is saying is he would rather roll up on a sheep farm and make love to a sheep than any woman in Australia. Is that what you're saying, Jay?
and then a kangaroo. So yeah, this is actually currently on Amazon Prime, and I definitely think you guys should check it out, especially if you enjoyed watching Thor Ragnarok. It's a really quick, fun, awkward, quirky little movie.
Honestly, it's a film that I saw.
It's worth watching. I think Dave's going to really enjoy it.
It's a film that I saw streaming on Amazon, and I haven't gotten around to watching it.
Yeah.
I watched Hunt for the Wilder People, and I really like that. That's streaming on Amazon and on Hulu also, so you can bang out two Taika Waititi films after watching.
Yeah,
Thor
a friend of
Ragnarok.
mine recommended it to me, and he was like, "It's so weird, man,
Well, Jay,
but it's so good, and I think you should watch it." I'm
Jay,
like, you know what? I'll put it down.
You
Thanks.
haven't seen Hunt for the Wilder People yet, but I know. Highly recommending that to you. I'll watch. I'll definitely check out What We Do in the Shadows this weekend. But one of the things like I always thought about What We Do in the Shadows was it came out right around the same time as Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp.
About that time.
Which was a terrible fucking movie.
Oh, it was horrible.
Hated that fucking movie. So I wasn't interested in seeing anything else in that ilk. And at that time, I was not aware of who Taika Waititi was. I really wasn't aware of that type of brand of comedy. I did know Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords. I was aware of that because of my good friend Kenny, who like was in love with Flight of the Conchords, and I watched that series based on his
couldn't get into it. I tried. I didn't give it too much of an effort, but I couldn't get into it.
But definitely, I will make sure that I check this out because it does sound more of my type of indie film than yours. I'm surprised that you enjoyed it. But
I did. I really did.
I
think because it was such a realistic take of it, like it was like that documentary style kind of like weird film.
Like this is Spinal Tap version of vampires.
And it kind of followed like 3 or 4 housemates, all vampires, just going through their day in out, like just shenanigans and like what they do and like how they have like human slaves like trying to like get all the blood out of the the blankets and the sheets in their clothing and just like just to get them to do whatever the hell they want them to do so they can the humans can actually get turned one day because that's what they actually essentially want one day.
Familiars. You learn about them in the Blade franchise.
Right. So it's a lot of fun.
So coming up next, me and Jay got this week's beer reviews. We're going to continue our stout reviews. So we got 2 stouts to review for you. And we also have a drunk scene to go along with our Thor Ragnarok review and kind of like our superhero theme this week. It is a drunk scene from a superhero film. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back to the beer segment. And of course, before me and Jay review our stouts that Jay has provided to us for our stout theme this month, we're going to get into our drunk scene. And this drunk scene, it's not from my favorite superhero film.
No.
That's for sure.
Not at all.
However, this scene is kind of like a bright spot in it. I really enjoyed the scene. I enjoyed the interactions, and I enjoyed sort of like the little philosophical question. So it shows you that this group of heroes is friends and can have fun with one another, which is something that I enjoyed about it.
A lighthearted downtime period.
Right, and it's actually the calm before the storm. So here it is.
Yeah, whosoever be he worthy shall have the power. Whatever, man. It's a trick.
No, it is much more than that, my friend.
If I lift it, do I get to rule Asgard?
Yes, of course.
I will be fair but firmly cruel. Be right back.
Are you even pulling?
Are you on my team?
Just represent. Pull. All right, let's go.
Come on, Cap.
Nothing.
Oh, no, that's not a question I need answered.
The handle's imprinted. Whosoever is carrying Thor's fingerprints is, I think, the literal translation.
Yes, well, that's a very interesting theory. I have a simpler one. You're all not worthy.
All right, so obviously the scene we're talking about is the after party scene, the scene in Avengers: Age of Ultron, where all the Avengers are kind of still sitting around drinking. Now, you can argue with me and say, well, Dave, they're not drunk. I mean, Captain America doesn't get drunk, and it's true. But I mean, they are clearly drinking.
Yeah.
And earlier on in the party,
some more than others, probably.
Thor is giving out like this Asgardian ale that like really gets people fucked up, and he gives it to Stan Lee, which is really funny. But like, so they're not drunk, but I'd say a few of them are on at least a couple sheets to the wind.
Sure.
And the question becomes, who can wield Thor's hammer? So I love like how Tony Stark is like, so it's whoever has Thor's fingerprints can hold the hammer. But they all go through this scene where they're all trying to pull the hammer up. Everyone grabs it. And one of the things I really, really liked was something that people have always wanted to happen. People have always wanted Captain America to pick up Thor's hammer because it's he who is worthy. Well, why wouldn't Captain America be worthy?
But it's like an alien.
And it was forged in the heart of a dying star. I mean, it's not really
right, but.
I mean, yes, Asgardians are aliens, but the funny thing is, he goes to grab it, and it kind of slightly, shimmies, like just a little bit,
just a little bit,
and you see the look on Thor's face. He's like, no, like, he's very. But then the other really funny part is when everyone's kind of like, "Hey,
I remember that,
yeah, come on, Black Widow, come on, give it a shot." She's like, "Oh no, that's not a question I need answered."
Yeah,
which is
a great remark.
Which is obviously like a dick joke, right? She's like, she doesn't need to know whether she can handle Thor's dick. She just doesn't want to know because she's already handling the Hulk's dick in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, other than that, this movie was kind of garbage.
More than garbage. Yeah, it was. This was one of those movies where I saw it one time and I did not need to revisit it again.
But it is a bright spot in an otherwise
it's
an otherwise
enjoyable.
dull film. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, that scene. And Jay, you have a really good stout that you want to talk about.
I do. So I have a really fun stout called 1050, hence the alcohol by volume, 10.5. And this is from Oskar Blues Brewery out of North Carolina and Colorado. So this beer has a really, really cool can, really cool name, and a really good beer. You know, it's one of those things that has a great marriage of all the fun little notes that a stout you would want, with chocolate and, you know, like a hint of coffee, actually a little bit of a hoppy front to it, and high IBUs, I believe in the 90s. I'm not positive about that, but I know it's a little on the high side for a stout. And just all around it has a really good flavor that just packs a punch for everything that you really would want. And this is something that I think you've had before.
Love it.
At one of our favorite bars, Humetville Inn. And I took a sip of it years ago from a friend who was raving about it. And it pours out like oil. You know, it's one of those
it does.
intimidating beers.
It looks like motor oil.
Yeah.
It's smooth.
But I remember liking
viscous.
it, but I don't remember exactly what it tasted like. So I definitely wanted to review it tonight and give it a fair review. And I give it a strong positive review at 4.5 out of 5.
Awesome. Yeah, that is one of my favorite stouts. That's a stout that I was not a fan of stouts, and someone was drinking it and they let me try it. And that was like the first stout that I was like, oh man, I can enjoy some stouts. The stout that I'm drinking, on the other hand, what I'm drinking is the Dragon Stout, which is from the Red Stripe Brewing Company out of Jamaica.
Yep.
So they don't just make the Jamaican ale, the Jamaican Pilsner.
Apparently
that they make. So the Dragon Stout is 7.5% alcohol per volume. And to be honest with you, everything Jay was saying about this one lacks. It really doesn't have any strong, bold flavors. It doesn't marry any of the flavors well because you can't tell. It's a very watered down stout. It tastes more like a black and tan than it does like a true stout. It's very light. It's nowhere near as dark as Jay's. I mean, you can actually, in light, you can actually see through it. So,
do you think that sometimes that's a reason because of being an import?
No. I think what it is
travel. Okay.
Honestly, because
I mean, Red Stripe is a piss beer in Jamaica. Like that's, they're it's just like Corona. Corona's a piss beer in Mexico, but we charge.
And think about where it's brewed. Well, it's actually this one isn't actually brewed in Jamaica. It was brewed in Manhasset, New York. But if you think about like an island ale and stuff like that, light, refreshing. I mean, when does it ever get to 40 degrees there where you might want to snuggle up to a nice toasted stout?
That's a good point.
So, I mean, maybe light is just more in line of what they would enjoy down there.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, it's really watered down. It's really weak. There's no bold flavors in it. Not overly happy with it. It's not bad, though. It's not like it tastes bad. It's not like I won't finish it.
Right.
So it's not going to get a terrible review. I'm just going to give it a 2.5. It's just whatever.
Okay.
It's just whatever. So coming up next, me and Jay are going to get into our movie homework assignments. This little segment was sparked out of our top 5 zombie films, where I was very upset that Jay has not seen some of the zombie films that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. It also came out of our conversation last week where we decided we were just going to pick some movies and give them to each other, ones that we had never seen.
Yeah, we're excited about this. I mean, this is something that I think is going to be a little bit more tricky for me because I believe Dave has seen a lot more of the movies that I would want him to see than vice versa. But
what's tricky is
it's going to be interesting.
You have one that is all in French,
right?
So
with subtitles,
right? But it's one of your.
That is by far one of my special little gem movies.
Oh
like
my God.
That's definitely something I would want you to see. But however, these all are very, they're dramatic movies. They're not, happy, uplifting movies per se.
I got things that are a little bit more fun for you.
Okay.
So stay tuned for me and Jay to talk about that. Welcome back. This is a new segment that me and Jay are doing.
I'm excited, Dave.
It's movie homework. This is so since me and Jay at times have such polarizing opinions on films, and we both gravitate towards different type of films.
We do.
There winds up being gaps between our movie knowledge. So there's some films that I absolutely love that Jay has never seen, and vice versa. So Jay is pretty much going to be prescribing me several indie films that I need to see. Now, honestly, I've seen a lot of the same indie films that Jay has. It doesn't mean that I like indie films anymore. There are some that I like, some that I don't like.
Sure.
What I'm recommending to Jay is kind of, it's a little bit of a smattering of films here. 2 horror bend ones and then one very, very serious drama. All have a good amount of comedy in them, though, but you've never seen them, so I definitely wanted to make sure that you got to see these. Now, over the past couple of years that we've been friends, that we've been doing podcasts, and even in the past year that we've been doing this, I have been far more successful at getting you to watch my movies than you have been at getting me to watch yours.
You know what? This is true.
I got you to watch Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
You did.
And you did a glowing review of it.
I definitely did.
I got you to watch Dread 3D.
Yeah. It was enjoyable.
I got you to watch The Mist. Frank Darabont's The Mist. And there's several other It Follows. It's just stuff like that
That's a movie I would have seen regardless, but
yeah.
That was fun.
And while I don't have any animated films for you this month, next month I'm not going to hold back. You are probably going to get 3 animated films. Jay,
I will do my best. I tend to fall asleep at animated movies.
Jay notoriously hates animated films, but I'm going to pick 3. Might even be my top 3 animated films that we discussed back in our top 5 animated films with Brado from Chris Brayton from the More Good of Them podcast. I might just be giving you some of those.
Hey, bring it on. Bring it on. I will do my best.
This conversation really sparked out of last week's episode and our episode before that, where we did top 5 zombies. Jay has some severe lacking horror knowledge, and I feel like that's going to be my job to fill that gap for him. So, Jay, what holes do I have that need to be filled? What's your first film?
Well, this first film is 2007's Michael Clayton. This is written and directed by Tony Gilroy, stars George Clooney, along with a great ensemble cast.
I'm aware of the film. I've just never seen it.
I think so. there's a law firm that would bring in a fixer to like remedy a certain kind of sticky situation that may or may not be so legal.
That's what I call
right?
a sticky situation.
Sticky. And that sticky fixer is George Clooney.
Okay.
So it kind of follows this guy during a
Wasn't there
certain
one with
situation.
George Clooney and Ryan Gosling? Wasn't there?
The Ides of March.
The Ides of March.
Yes,
That's
he's
it. Why aren't you prescribing me that one, man?
You never saw that?
I never saw that either.
Well, maybe one day it will. I don't know. So, this one's very, very strong as far as a great tension-filled suspense, kind of like dramatic, like white-collar film, of sorts. I really just enjoy watching it. I don't know what there's something about it that I just really, really enjoy. And it just shows the sleaziness of what some corporations can do and what some lawyers can do.
All right, very cool. It's not too far off from things that I do enjoy. I do enjoy realistic courtroom dramas. I do enjoy as long as it's a realistic.
That's the one movie
take
that
on
I
it.
feel like out of my three that I think you might enjoy the most out of the ones I have. In my hand.
I mean, one of my favorite things. I really enjoy Aaron Sorkin as a writer and the type of stuff that he writes, because I like the realistic feel that he puts into it, especially like things like Newsroom, West Wing, etc. And I feel like that's right in line with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I enjoyed The Big Short, which is a realistic portrayal of the financial market and stuff like that, even though it had a slight comedy bend to make it more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So yeah, I feel like I would enjoy that. Jay, my number one zombie film from 2 weeks ago, you had never seen, and I feel like it's a big hole in your movie watching.
I concur, because this is one of those things I think I mentioned on that podcast show where like I said I want to watch this.
But you've
especially
seen,
because it's your number one and I've never seen it.
You've seen Night of the Living Dead. You said the black and white one you've seen. And you said that you have seen the remake of this film directed by Zack Snyder, Dawn of the Dead, but you had never seen George A. Romero's original 1978 Dawn of the Dead. So it's my gift to you, my friend, to watch this amazing horror movie that has, like I said before, a lot of social satire going on within it, as well as a lot of fun and a lot of just, good zombie horror. And this is the film that really started the entire zombie genre, at least in its modern form, more so than Night of the Living Dead, which, I said that you see the dead using tools. If they weren't the fully formed movie monsters that George A. Romero had in mind, this is the definitive George A. Romero movie monster. This is the one you need to see. This is the one I think you would enjoy out of the Dead series the most. So I'm gifting you that, my friend.
Very cool. I'm excited. My next film is A Single Man. This 2009 drama follows we
did this on an indie corner.
Did we?
I think so, and I still haven't seen it. This is the one where
I think we might have. I know I brought it up at some point or another.
This is the one where he's the gay man living in the suburbs, hiding himself.
He's an English professor. He is gay. He is mourning the sudden death of an ex-lover a year prior, and he is just down and out. And he's pretty much essentially follows like a day in his life. And it's just so expertly crafted as far as the detail and the nuances of him and his world and his people that surrounds him in his life. Written and directed by Tom Ford, the famous designer. And this movie really just blew me away. And I really just wanted to see something more from Tom Ford, what he can make. And he made a really interesting follow-up called Nocturnal Animals, and like it or not, it's certainly bold and certainly unique, and it's
Nocturnal Animals I saw and I did not like. I just did not like it.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, and I definitely had certain reservations about that movie.
I remember
as well.
you
I
reviewing
didn't
it.
love it, but there were elements of it that I did enjoy. It's definitely something that I just really enjoy watching. It is as depressing as it can be sometimes. Towards the end, it's definitely uplifting, and it shines a certain kind of light. But it's really well crafted, and I really enjoy watching these two characters Mostly Colin Firth, Nicholas Hoult, and I forgot Julianne Moore has a great role in it as well.
Okay, cool. It's a film that I had heard of, so it's not too far off my radar. I know your last film, and that one's far from my radar. But
yes,
before we get to that, the next one that I have for you is one of my favorite performances from Jack Nicholson ever. And this is a film you said you watched in school, but you don't remember a damn thing about it. And when Jay says school, he means high school. So we're talking...
Yes.
15, 16 years ago.
One of those class things where you read the book, you watch the movie when you finish all the work assignments, and that was the only time I saw this movie.
It won Best Picture in 1975 and was nominated for 4 other Academy Awards and won. This is one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite movies, and it has one of my favorite actors from that era, Jack Nicholson. I mean, it is a very powerful story about, it gets into something that I know you can understand because you work in the industry of mental health, and both of us have worked in the industry of mental health. And when I decided that this was going to be my major, that was way back in high school. This film was given to me by my psychology teacher at the time in high school, and I watched it. I did book reports on it. I fell in love with this film, and I fell in love with Jack Nicholson acting in this film. So the film is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, if you haven't already sussed that out. And it is just one of the most powerful movies about mental health that I think has ever been made. And I think the fact that Jay has seen it, but because he was the world's worst student, more than likely fell asleep during it. I even described a scene to him earlier, and he doesn't remember a goddamn thing from it.
Right.
So I think you seeing this at an older age, and you didn't appreciate movies in high school like you do now. So
correct. I think this might have been more like 10th grade, 9th grade, something in that ballpark. I do remember certain scenes of just Jack Nicholson acting like a little bit of an ass.
He is. He has a great scene with the doctor where the doctor
hospital
reminds him that he slept. It has pedophilia in it, Jay. He slept with a 15-year-old girl, and he says to the doctor, "Well, doc, when that pink little beaver's in your face, it really doesn't matter, does it? They're all the same."
Wow.
So it's right up your alley, Jay.
Jesus.
All right, Jay. What is your third film for me?
I have for you 2007's The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. So this movie is from Julian Schnabel. This guy is like an artist, essentially. He doesn't do films very often, but this guy did a story. It's a true story, actually, from a former an Elle editor of Elle magazine, and Jean-Dominique Bobby. So it's a French film.
Jean-Dominique Bobby.
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 He just
Bobby.
Yeah, he suffered a sudden stroke, and he had to live with an almost completely paralyzed body other than his left eye.
Other than his penis.
His left eye. So he had to essentially learn how to communicate by blinking.
Oh, my God.
Create their own alphabet, and essentially wrote a whole, biography, novel.
Out of all the films that you recommended to me tonight,
this movie is so special and so well done.
It's the one you love.
Put it into like his perspective from the eye.
I love that you love this movie so much, and this is
as indie as it gets. Like this is one of those things I had to throw it in there because I gave you some some cookie cutter.
You fluffed it up.
I gave you some good fluff indie films. This one is through and through a legit French indie film that is so beautiful and poignant. Like
no, but what I love is
recommend this enough.
You love it so much, and it is the one that I'm going to save for last because it's the most arduous. Like I just know I'm going to struggle getting through that movie.
I can see that, and it does flash back and forth between him before he actually had that stroke, and it's a beautiful movie, and it actually stars Matthew Amalric, who actually, I guess, got credited from this movie to be the bad guy in Quantum of Solace, that James Bond shitty movie. So, unfortunately, he just got lambasted in a crabby James Bond movie after the success of this film. But this is definitely a movie that I really want you to see. I definitely highly recommend it to all of our listeners who are into interesting indie movies that aren't too scared off by subtitles.
Jay, my final film is so important to me. I only own it in 2 formats: VHS and Blu-ray, neither of which you own. And I didn't want to give you a VHS player. So literally because of this film, I gave you a Blu-ray player tonight. I gave you
He really did.
A top of the line
10 years ago.
A top of the line Sylvania Blu-ray player from 2007. This thing is massive.
Huge.
It is the size of the coffee table that we are recording off of right now.
It's massive.
It was one of the first Blu-ray players that was on the market, and I made my parents get it when I worked at Blockbuster because when I worked at Blockbuster, we only got so many pre-screening copies of things, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to rent them, but there were so many people working at Blockbuster, I generally didn't get them until they came out. But Blu-ray copies also came in, so I was like, oh, we should get a Blu-ray player right around the same time Dark Knight came out. In 2008. So my parents bought this Blu-ray player, and I was able to get the pre-screeners that I wanted, and I sold them on a better format that they still use today. And I still talk to my dad about quality and stuff like that. I helped him pick out his latest TV, which has Chromecast and stuff like that, which he seems to be enjoying. So because of that, you are now getting a Blu-ray player so that you can watch Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn, which is probably my favorite horror movie ever. It's directed by Sam Raimi, stars Bruce Campbell. The reason I'm giving you Evil Dead 2 and not Evil Dead 1 is because Evil Dead 2 is a superior film, and it recaps everything that happened in Evil Dead 1 in the first 5 minutes.
Perfect.
So you don't need to slog through Evil Dead 1 to get to this one.
Man.
You could pop this one in and enjoy it just as it is.
2 for 1.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
It's a 2 for 1 special. Don't start laughing yet, because someday you might get Army of Darkness in this movie homework that we get. But Evil Dead 2 is definitely a must watch. So
cool.
Jay, I told you that Diving Bell and Butterfly will be the last one. That is the most arduous one you picked. You threw me some fluff balls. I think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is right up your alley. I think that's my fluff ball to you.
I feel like Evil Dead 2 is going to be my last movie.
Okay.
To be honest, yeah.
All right. What's the last one of mine that you're going to be? I mean, what's the first one that you're going to watch?
I think it really does depend on my mood. But probably
you need to know by next week, because we're doing the way this is going to work.
Geez, are we really doing it that way? Okay.
So I'm gonna watch one of yours this week. You're gonna watch one of mine.
All right. I'm gonna mix it up. I will start off with George A. Romero. He's whatever.
He's Canadian.
Dawn of the Dead.
He's not. He has an Italian
George
last name.
A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
So that'll be next week.
All right. So I am going to start with Michael Clayton next week. That'll be the first one that I watch. So next week, me and Jay will review each other's homework films, and we will talk about them on the show, and we will basically I don't know if we'll give scores, but we'll talk about our level of enjoyment of them and our level of recommendation.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do scores. I think we probably should just like review and just it'll be more of a conversational thing. We're gonna have like our own little personal review, our own impressions, and then we can just kind of converse back and forth about our own little takes on those films.
And remember my review for when you say if you enjoy it, that means you enjoyed your time with it, but you're never gonna watch it again. If you liked it, that means you would watch it again,
right?
And obviously, if you hated it, you just fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Out of yours, I'm pretty sure, and just based on your description, Diving Bell and Butterfly, I'm never, ever, ever going to want to watch again. It's probably
no, you won't.
It's probably going to take me 3 days to watch it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I I could see that.
But no
I don't-
cheating. We're not going to play movie cocktail game where you say, "Oh, I skimmed through the film because I really didn't like it," like you did with Starship Troopers and you did with Howard the Duck. There's none of that here. You have to watch the film.
Fuck those movies.
You got to watch the film. You got to watch it in its entirety. You have to.
I will 100%. I'm definitely
phoning it in, man.
Look, I'm excited for this like new category that we're doing. Yeah, Super Movie Brothers Homework is going to be really fun, and it's something exciting. It's something to look forward to, and you get that excuse to actually watch something a little bit different, something off the beaten path, something that you need to watch regardless in cinema.
And it's
as
homework,
a film buff.
And it's homework for you guys at home too.
Exactly.
If for any reason, I mean, to be honest, my films are softballs. The fact that Jay hasn't seen them is just, it's all on him. But if any of you at home haven't seen any of these films, give them a shot. Especially Jay's films, because I feel like your films are going to be more what people haven't seen if they're not into the indie genre and stuff like that. But if you want to give them a shot, you want to reach out to us on Twitter, let us know what you thought of them. Do homework with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. You want to tell everyone how much you couldn't get through Diving Bell and Butterfly? Feel free to. Reach out to us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. You can also reach out to Jay on Facebook. Tell him how much Diving Bell and Butterfly sucks.
Fuck you. It's awesome.
We're on Facebook under Super Movie Bros Podcast. We are also part of a network. We're very proud of the network that we're a part of. So please make sure that you check out www.podfixnetwork.com. There you'll find new episodes of our shows, episode descriptions, and you will also find other great Podfix shows. Just recently today, I listened to So I Married a Movie Geek's Fantasy Movie Draft for 1993 movies. So let me tell you, there are some decisive picks in that. There's a lot of things that people are probably going to scream in their car. If you're a movie fan and you're not listening to fantasy movie drafts, you really need to, because they are a ton of fun. And I gotta get Jay on a movie draft. I don't know how I'll get Justin Winters to do it. I don't know how we'll logistically do it, but I want you on a movie draft, Jay. I want an indie film movie draft.
I'm intrigued. Yeah, I mean, I guess bring it on.
So it's a call out to Justin. Justin, I will get Jay to my house. I will set him up to record, and I will put him on there with you. You just get the other draft members.
Oh,
and
boy.
I will let Jay just be all over your shit. Just Jay will arc indie ropes all over your shit.
I don't know how it works, but like I will definitely shit all over it. Yeah, with my indie shit. Yeah.
I also listened to Shaken Not Nerd today. Our good friend Duty and Ian and Tom, they do their show there. They just recently reimagined the Alien universe on their most recent show that I listened to. So make sure that you're checking out Podfix Network if you're interested in any other shows that are like ours or are just good friends of ours. We will make references to them. I will make appearances on their shows. I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Have a great night. Cheers.
Cheers.